Hey friends, welcome to Gardening with Creekside. Today we are going to have a very fun fall festive video where I am going to share with you 5 simple tips to have a fabulous fall in your garden and just in general with life, right? Fall is an amazing time. I have to say it's probably my favorite time of year because the temperatures are cooler, the air is drier. We have just gone through a wonderful, long, beautiful, very hot, humid summer, and now we have this glorious time where we can be outside and enjoy the weather, enjoy all of God's creation, and this just being fun outside. And there's so many fun fall festivities that we get to do outside. So we're going to share 5 simple tips that will help you enjoy the season in your garden, and again, like I said, in life in general. Now, if you've been around Gardening with Creekside for any length of time, you know that we preach that fall is the absolute best time to plant. Plant now. It is the prime season to be putting in the vast majority of your perennials, your shrubs, your trees. Why do we do that? Here, especially in the South, now when we talk about the fall, I will say also depends on your calendar-wise of where you are in the country or the world, right? So for us in North Carolina, Zone 7B, when I say fall is the prime time to plant, I am talking about October, November, even into December. I know we're kind of getting into a little bit of winter there, but our Septembers can be very warm still and very dry. And in fact, this fall we have had a very dry fall, but that's okay because the temperatures are coming down. The soil is still nice and warm. So when you put those perennials, trees and shrubs in the ground, the soil is still warm, so your roots are going to be growing. The temperatures are cooling, so it's not as much stress on the plant. Also, fall, things are starting to go dormant, right? All of these beautiful plants that we have been blessed with are starting to enter into dormancy. So while the leaves may be falling off, you may be going to your local garden center and you may see that the hibiscus or the hydrangeas, they're not primo. That's okay because they are going into dormancy. They are taking all of their energy from producing those beautiful leaves and those beautiful flowers, and they are putting that energy into their roots. So when you put and plant these plants in your garden, you're not looking for top growth. Not in the fall and the winter. You are, all the action is happening underground, right? You cannot see it. Your roots are growing, very vigorous growers during the fall, winter, early spring. That is where the vast majority of the root growth happens. And as we always say, one of our sweet viewers told me this, I love this little phrase, happy roots, happy shoots, right? So if you have a very happy root system, if you have a very vigorous root system on your plant, that is going to translate into the top growth that you can see come spring, summer, all of next year. It helps reduce this transplant shock. I'm very open about my messes and my successes here at the nursery and at our house. I planted 3 gorgeous pufferfish hydrangeas in the heat of summer, and they were in full bloom. They had a very, very vigorous root system in the pot, planted them in the ground. One immediately went south. One was doing great, and then about a month later, it went south. The third one, who knows? It was just doing great the whole time. They were planted about 4 feet apart from all of each other. I lost 2, and one is doing great. Planting in the summer causes a lot of stress on plants. Transplant shock. That is what happened to my hydrangeas. I knew that was a risk. I went for it and I lost. So planting in the fall, I'm not going to have to worry about that whatsoever. Prime example of this is if you are familiar with Gardening with Creekside, you know that this time last year we installed a massive privacy berm between the house and the nursery. We first had to construct it, so that kind of happened during October, and then we planted all of our trees and our shrubs, maybe just a few perennials in the whole month of November into early December. No irrigation was put on this. We had the bones in it, but it was not hooked up. And so those trees and shrubs absolutely flourished this spring and summer. Gorgeous. We did not even actually hook up the irrigation and turn it on until July. And those plants just are rocking. They are loving life because we put them in early. Their root systems are very, very extensive. They got nice and settled in, and they just transitioned into the spring and the summer like champions. Also, another little side note, if you are a fan of native wildflowers, now is the time to go ahead and put out your native wildflower seeds. So if you want to kind of have that beautiful kind of that wildflower garden full of native plants, then go ahead, get your seeds and get them in the ground now, because most native seeds are going to need that chill period, and so fall is the perfect time to add them into the garden. That way they can have that chill period, they can germinate in the spring, come up and have beautiful flowers for you, your pollinators, and all the wildlife coming in from spring, summer, and into fall. All right, tip number 2. We need to address our annual plantings. Yes, we do. So I am a gardener who embraces all kinds of plants. I love my annuals, I love my perennials, I love my shrubs, and I love my trees. Annuals are wonderful plants because they will give you gorgeous color for one season, right? An annual means that you have to plant it annually. It will not survive one of the seasons. So right now, because we're entering into fall, I need to address my summer annuals that are in my garden. We're going to have a frost here probably typically within the next month or so. So I am slowly addressing my annuals, summer annuals that are in the landscape that are not looking so well. Some of them look amazing and I'm leaving them alone. But bit by bit, I am taking out my summer annuals. Why do we need to take out our summer annuals? Why can't we just leave them, let the freeze come, it'll kill them all back, and just leave them alone, and then, you know, come spring, we'll address them then? Well, I'm a big proponent of cleaning up your garden, transitioning from one season into another. And we want to go ahead and remove those summer annuals for a couple of reasons. One, if you have any kind of pest that is harboring in those annuals, we need to get rid of those, like a harmful pest. If you have aphids or you have spider mites or things like that, we want to get rid of those. If you have some sort of disease, we want to get rid of that also. If you have powdery mildew, the list could go on the different aspects that you could have. So we want to eliminate that, get that out, because you want to have your garden nice and healthy going into the next season. Also, this is the perfect time to amend those flower beds with your compost. Again, if you watch me, you know that I'm a huge fan of the Land and Sea compost, and we also use bulk compost because, I mean, here at the nursery we have vast, huge beds, and so we will bring in some bulk compost. Whatever's available to you, go for it. Land and Sea, I love as a homeowner, as a home gardener, because of course it is in bags. It makes it extremely easy to move it around and to go from point A to point B. But most importantly is a really great high quality compost. And we want to put compost down. It's the perfect time when you're taking out your summer annuals. Maybe you're not going to plant any fall annuals. And if you are, even still, it's a great time. Go ahead and top dress your flower bed with a great high quality compost like Land and Sea. What that does is, one, with our heavy red clay soil, it helps provide aeration. It helps amend the soil. It is bringing nutrition. It is bringing organic matter into our soil. Because if you have a healthy ecosystem within your soil, you are going to have very happy, healthy plants up top. Happy roots, happy shoots. Also, talking about those fall colors, right? So we're pulling out the summer stuff and we're bringing in the fall. Where we are in North Carolina, pansies, violas, cabbages, kales, mustards, those are going to be wonderful fall, winter plantings for us that will give us color throughout the entire season. Our winters are historically mild compared to other parts of the country. We're not buried under 6 feet of snow for 6 months out of the year like my friends in Colorado. And so we plant those pansies and violas now, right now, and it gives us gorgeous, fun color in those dreary months of the year. just a couple of weeks ago, I planted some gorgeous violas and pansies in the back patio. They are taking off. They are beautiful. They're bright cherry yellow and purple and some bicolors. So I embrace and enjoy using those colors in the fall because it just transitions me all the way through. And then when it comes springtime, I can take those out and then I will put my summer annuals in. Number 3, the third simple tip for a fabulous fall is we want to think about providing fall food and cover for wildlife in our gardens. So when you are planting, right, those top 2 tips, planting your trees and shrubs, addressing your annuals, we want to kind of keep in the back of our mind, how can we help? How can we assist the wildlife that lives in our gardens? It doesn't matter if you're out in the country like I am, or if you're in an inner city, or if you are, in a condo and you only have container gardens, you can plant thinking of our wildlife. So you want to think about food sources. What can I plant that will provide food sources for the native wildlife during the fall and winter, right? Food is abundant in the summer. It is the fall and the winter that we want to help all of our little, whether it's our feathered friends or our beneficial insects, whatever it may be. So planting those echinaceas, right? Because echinaceas provide those great little seed heads. Your finches especially love to go on those echinacea heads and eat that food for it, because we do have non-migrating birds, right? So where we are, we have cardinals, we have woodpeckers, we have bluebirds, we have chickadees, finches, like all of those great birds need some sort of food source, and we can provide that in our garden. Think of your shrubs, think of your trees that produce berries. Obviously, hollies are a great source of berries. The beauty berries, Pearl Glam beauty berry, gorgeous, nice berries on those that will provide food for your birds. And then also, not only do we need to think about food, let's also think about some shelter, right? So shelter. Those sweet little things need some protection in the winter, and they need protection from predators. So when you can add in evergreen shrubs and trees, whether it is, again, like that holly. A holly tree or a shrub is a great, either one you want to go, because you can get them in different ways. Provide the shelter and the berries. So it's kind of the 2-for-1 in that category. You want to think about your azaleas. For my southern people, azaleas are great. Your gardenias, your camellias, any of those nice, beautiful evergreen trees back here, arborvitaes, cedars, thujas, all of those are going to be wonderful protection for our sweet little friends from the elements and from predators. Also, what are some fall blooming perennials that you can have in your garden, right? Goldenrod is a wonderful one. We want perennials in the late fall that are blooming because we need to provide that source of food for our pollinators. So goldenrod is an absolutely great one. And then also asters. Asters are wonderful. We were actually in the mountains. I'm gonna get to that in a minute. But we were in the mountains this past weekend, and there were just wild asters blooming all over the mountainside. The goldenrod had already started to fade, and the asters were absolutely gorgeous, just growing wild on the side of the mountains. Beautiful. So think about, visit your local garden center, talk to them. They will know which perennials are going to bloom later on in the season. Those are the ones that you want. Caryopteris is a great late summer, early fall bloomer. Wonderful shrub that you can add to your full sun garden that likes it really dry. So keep that in mind. We want to have something year round for our little friends. If you're looking, maybe you don't have a great local garden center around you, or maybe you do and they don't provide a ton of native plants, one great resource for you online is Prairie Moon Nursery. No way affiliated with them whatsoever. I just happen to be actually a customer of theirs. I ordered some butterfly weed to add to my garden. So if you're looking for native seeds and perennial plants, go check out Prairie Moon Nursery. That is what they specialize in. That is why the company was created, was to provide native plants really for all over the country. So they have grown, they have a great reputation. So you can go check them out and place your orders for your seeds, your plants, whatever it may be that your garden needs. Keep in mind, The denser you plant in your garden, the more you're going to provide food and shelter for your habitats, right? So habitats, whether it is for those pollinators, those beneficial insects, the birds, the frogs, the lizards, the snakes. I know some of you don't like snakes, but they are a good part of our ecosystem. So all of those things, think of like just our whole entire habitat, right? The denser you plant, the more you're going to attract. Why is that so? This is not like a gardening ploy. You're like, oh yeah, Jenny, you own a garden center. Sure, you want me to buy more plants. That is not it at all. I'm trying to help you because the denser you plant, the more shelter you're going to provide. You're going to have a variety of plants in there that are going to bloom at different times, attracting different wildlife to your garden. And also a great another benefit of planting densely in your garden, you have to weed less, right? So there's less room for weeds to grow because you've got all these beautiful healthy plants there. So less room for those weeds to grow, and it requires less mulch. So when you have to go in and add mulch or compost to your garden beds, it's less because you've got these beautiful plants that are everywhere. So just kind of think about that. The backyard beds are just right over my right shoulder, and I did plant that quite densely. I have tons of echinacea in there. And yes, right now they are brown. They have their brown seed heads are up, but my finches are all over them. My little birds are loving them. I have gorgeous beauty berries, those pearl gland beauty berries. They are shining right now with their bright purple glossy berries on them. I have blueberries in that bed. Now, yes, do blueberries have fruit on them in the fall? No, they don't, but they do in early summer. And as much as I try to get out here and pick those blueberries quickly, the birds inevitably get some of those. So again, I am helping my wildlife. And then trees. I have trees in there. I have deciduous trees. I have cherry tree. I have I'm looking over the trees. I've got a gorgeous maple that is giving me beautiful color right now. I've got my slender hinoki, which is a nice evergreen. It's low, so any kind of wildlife that wants to get up underneath the branches for protection absolutely can do that as well. So just think diversity in your garden, and we want to provide as much food and shelter as we can for the wildlife. Now, tip number 4, y'all, you should know me by now. Keep it simple. Just calm down. Keep calm. Do not kill yourself and overdo your fall cleanup. We want to keep it simple. This is a season of keeping it simple and beginning to transition into that season of rest, right? We come from summer, which is so much fun, and we have vacations and kids have camps and, you know, practices, and we're doing this and we're doing that. But now we're transitioning into fall. We got into our routine. The kids are back in school. The days are getting shorter. The temperatures are getting cooler. You get to wear sweaters. You get to do the great campfires. We're moving into a season of rest. So embrace that, and also embrace that in your garden. One of the great things, the fun things that we all love about fall is that the leaves begin to fall. And if you are like me and you are blessed with lots of deciduous trees around you, then you're going to have to deal with leaves, right? In some fashion, you have to deal with leaves. So my tip is to use those fallen leaves to your benefit. My mama is a huge fan, and now I am a huge fan of getting those leaves that have fallen. Pretty soon this whole field back here is going to be full of leaves. And so we will bring the lawnmower, mulch up those leaves, and we will use and make our own leaf litter to put in our garden beds. I have used them for years in my garden boxes. Once my summer vegetables come out and I have cleaned out those boxes, maybe I have already planted my garlic. I have planted those cool season crops. I will come back and I will top dress the entire garden box with this homemade leaf litter. It will naturally have some grass clippings in there, but predominantly it is those fallen leaves that have just been chopped up really fine. It's not hard. You just take your mower and run it back over a million times until it's nice and finely chopped. You rake it up, or if you have a bagger on your mower, you can just bag it up and then just go ahead and lay it straight down on your garden boxes or in your flower beds if that is what you choose. And the reason that we do this is that one great benefit is it helps reduce winter weeds massively. almost eliminated all of my winter weeds in my garden boxes completely. It was wonderful. Those leaves break down. Organic matter, aiding and building up my soil's nutrition in my garden boxes. It's completely organic, right? So they've just come from the trees. It's free other than the time that you're going to use back and forth making it. So leaf litter is a great idea. Great way to use those fallen leaves. Add them to your compost pile. If you don't want to use the leaf litter, just chop them up and add them to your compost pile along with your grass clippings, and then you can use that compost in whatever way that you want to in your garden. Now, also, just slow down a little bit. For some reason, everybody thinks that fall is the primo time to like trim shrubs, bushes. And while some of that can happen, I rarely am pruning any kind of shrub, any kind of tree in the fall. That is not really the time to do it. Yes, you can absolutely trim up some of your perennials, and I will be doing some of those, but my echinaceas, like we talked about, I'm leaving those. I want to leave those for the birds with the seeds. My perennial grasses, I leave those. I don't trim those back until late winter going into spring. So for me, that would be like mid to late February. I love the fall interest that it brings me, the fall winter interest. Again, it provides a shelter for maybe some of my beneficial insects that are harboring overwintering. They've laid their eggs in there. So I'm going to leave those for the winter. Please, my people, I'm trying to help you. Do not, these are some shrubs that you do not prune this time of year at all. Okay, hydrangeas that bloom on old growth. I know that's very, very confusing with hydrangeas. Basically, if you have a macrophylla hydrangea, for the most part, we're going to take it down really basic. If you have hydrangeas that have the traditional bloom on it, those nice big, what we call a mop head, if you have a hydrangea that produces those flowers that turn pink or blue, don't prune those, right? We do not want to prune those. If you need to prune those, you do it after they flower in the summertime. Do not do them right now. So do not prune your hydrangeas that produce flowers on old growth. My southern people, please do not prune your azaleas, your gardenias, your camellias. Those are the top 3 that I would say, because all of those bloom on old growth. If you prune azaleas, camellias, gardenias right now, you're not going to have any flowers come spring, early summer, because you just cut off all of your blooms. So just breathe. It's okay. Come late winter into spring, there will be certain shrubs that you can begin to prune. When in doubt, go to Professor Google. It's the best thing ever. I do it all the time. Here I'm a professional gardener, I own a garden center, and I will come across a plant and I'm like, well, I wonder when's the best time to do that. Go to Professor Google and you simply say, when is the best time to prune an azalea? When is the best time to prune a camellia? When is the best time to prune a holly tree, right? Whatever it is, you're going to find some great reputable resources. If you ever get onto a state university's website, that or your agricultural extension office, those are going to be your very most reliable resources, because don't forget, every state in the country has an agricultural school, right? So for us in North Carolina, it is NC State. South Carolina, it is Clemson. Georgia, University of Georgia, right? So every state has an ag school. Those are great free resources for you, so use them. Also, we use mulch here in our gardens a lot, right? We don't use pine needles, we use mulch. And so my tip is don't over mulch. The great thing about mulch is that you only have to apply it maybe once every year, once every 18 months. There should be no reason why you're applying mulch 2 or 3 times a year to your garden bed. That is way too much. Too much mulch is not going to be good. So just add it when you need to, which would be about once a year, once every 2 months. 18 months, not 2 months. See, I made a mistake there. 12 months, 18 months, spread it out. So you just don't want to over mulch, all right? And then finally, this is the most fun. Just enjoy the season. Tip number 5, enjoy the season. Fall is, like I said in the beginning, is probably my absolute favorite time of the year. So get outside, right? It does not matter where you are, what your conditions are. If you are blessed to be able to, I say escape, right? Go on a weekend trip somewhere, do that. Go to somewhere that has beautiful fall color. Go to somewhere where the temperatures maybe are a little bit cooler than where you are. If you can't go on a trip, go on a ride, right? Hop in the car and just take a ride. Find the fall leaves. I was following somebody, she was actually a photographer, and on social media, and she said, I just got in the car and started driving. I was in search of beautiful fall color. She found it and had some absolutely gorgeous photos. So make a little trip. Get in the car and go for a ride. If you can't get in a car, maybe you're homebound, maybe you have physical limitations right now, you're in a season of your life where you can't travel. Even getting in a car is hard. Get outside. Try to go sit on the porch. Open up the windows. Feel this beautiful, delicious fall air that is blowing right now, and just enjoy it. I absolutely love it when my cooler, drier air comes in. It just makes me happy, right? Again, leaving that season of hot and humid weather and sweating, and you're so tired of sweating, and going into fall and enjoying that time. An example of that is, so Jerry and I were blessed that this past weekend we got to go to the mountains for a long weekend, because our sweet Andrew, so Andrew is, he's over our landscaping here at Creekside Nursery. He and his sweet fiance Grace got married, and so their wedding was in the mountains of North Carolina. As soon as Andrew told me the date of the wedding, honey, I was booking a cabin so fast, and the wedding was on Saturday. We got there on Friday. I made it a long weekend, and we stayed till Monday. It was just Jerry and I up in the mountains. We didn't see anybody around us. The fall colors were stunning. It was just a wonderful, relaxing time that we were able to escape, and I realized that we were extremely blessed. So Andrew and Grace, thanks for getting married in October in the mountains. We appreciate it. I joked and I said, I'm not sure which one I'm more excited about, you getting married or me going to the mountains for a weekend. Either way. So get outside, enjoy that, right? Take a walk with your kids, go find some leaves, try to find, get your kids and say, who can find some fun fall colors, right? Also, make some recipe that's fall inspired. My kids, man, as soon as those cooler temperatures, we're making the pumpkin muffins. We're making all those delicious fall inspired coffees and teas. Chili, right? In the South, man, that cooler temperature hits, we're like, give us some chili and cornbread, because fall is here and we are excited. So embrace that for sure. And then just, again, have fun. Get out there, enjoy this season, enjoy this transition from summer into winter, because before we know it, it is going to be spring, and we are going to be itching to put some beautiful colors back into our yard and get out there and escape the cold and feel the heat on us again. So just enjoy the season that we are in. So I hope you have found this helpful and informative, and yeah, we appreciate you. Enjoy the fall weather, enjoy this season of life, because it will pass by quickly. So take a moment, breathe, and enjoy it. As always, we so appreciate you. You'll have a great day. Thanks for gardening with Creekside. Bye, friends.